Hello, everyone. My name is Sapna Sopori, and I am a Washington Environmental Council board member and, thank you, and an environmental educator. And tonight, I am here to ask for your financial support. You may be wondering, what is a teacher doing on WEC's board? An organization that focuses on policy and advocacy. That is a good question, one I asked myself. Before joining this board, I had a very limited understanding of how policy systems worked. As a good child of the 80s, my entire understanding of legislative systems came from Schoolhouse Rock. The episode, we all know it, Capitol Bill. I'm just a bill, I live on Capitol Hill. Thank you, okay. And now the song is in your head, so you're welcome. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you have homework now. I'm a teacher, I'm allowed to assign homework. So go home and watch that episode. The other question I asked myself was, do I have time to join a board? No. It takes a lot of time to serve on a board, and God knows that is not something I have in surplus, let alone money to donate. We are all busy, busy, busy people. After teaching and mentoring and supervising and volunteering, if I even think about taking on anything else, it makes me want to go to sleep sometimes. In fact, to quote Ali Wong, I don't want to lean in, I want to lie down, right? And if you didn't laugh at that joke, you have another homework assignment. You need to go home and watch Baby Cobra, but maybe after the kids go to sleep. So, no policy or advocacy experience, no time, no cash. Joan, are you sure you wanted me to do this ask? I'm kidding, because for real, despite the barriers, I am a proud board member and donor. Here's why. A few years ago, I had a bit of an epiphany. I was at a conference session on urban environmental education. The speaker was a passionate leader of education for incarcerated youth. After her talk, she took some questions. At the front of the room, a young educator raised her hand and asked, quite earnestly, I teach environmental education in inner city classrooms in LA. How can I get my high schoolers to care about climate change when they're more concerned about the gang violence that surrounds them? It's a good question. How in the world do I get kids to care about whales and forests and coral reefs when they are rightly more concerned about the next meal that they're going to eat, or whether their parents might have a job tomorrow, or whether there will be a school shooting this week? The speaker's answer was perfect and blunt and necessary. She said, if you can't connect gang violence to climate change, you're not doing your job. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. She was completely correct. If I only look at one system, one reef, an ocean, or a forest, and I don't zoom out to see how it's connected to all other systems like food scarcity, gang violence, and gun control, I'm limiting my own potential, my own understanding of reality and opportunity for action, let alone those of my students. That was a big hit for me. I consider myself an educated person, and somehow these issues had remained separate for me in my mind. I realized that I was only seeing individual issues like dots on a page, when in fact, each dot is a pixel that together makes up a real picture. And if I don't see the full picture or the system, how in the world was I going to change it? If I wanted to make real change in education and the environment, I needed to see the whole and real picture. I needed to zoom out of my education pixel and understand how systems like legislation impact it. That is a critical foundation for educational and environmental justice, integrated systems thinking. So I decided to join WEC, not because I was looking for just any environmental board to join, but rather I wanted to give my precious time and dollars to an organization that sees the whole picture of how the health of Puget Sound and the health of its people are intertwined. One where the leadership is reflective enough to know that it doesn't know everything, that it has to unlearn the false narratives of saviorism so prevalent in the mainstream environmental movement. An organization where my time was not just a way to meet a board quota for minorities, and my dollars were not just a means to a fiscal bottom line, but instead I am valued for my perspective and my voice makes a change. That is WEC. This organization is working hard to walk the talk when it comes to centering communities most impacted by climate change and using the organization's own historic privilege to follow these communities and support them. WEC is taking the lessons learned from this work and applying it in other areas. Whether it is working with community groups to clean up Puget Sound and manage our forests more sustainably, or to examine its own internal policies for implicit bias, its marketing, its hiring, its financial practices, and even convening a group of other historically white-led organizations to do the same. That is WEC walking the talk. Our region is growing rapidly, and the decisions that we make over the next 5 to 10 years will really determine the future for another generation, or 2, or 3, or more. How and where do we grow? How do we protect water and air? How do we move towards a clean energy future and stop investing in a fossil fuel past? How do we chart a sustainable future together? And how do we do all of this with Donald Trump in the White House? Someone had to say his name this time, right? Yeah, okay, Donald Trump. I'll tell you how. With smarts, with integrity, with bodies and voices, WEC is working to answer these questions and doing so in partnership to ensure that Washington's land, air, water, and people are protected, restored, and sustained for all of us. Washington Environmental Council has always believed that we are stronger together. Now they are doing more than just believing those words, they are actionably fighting for them. WEC is working towards the next iteration of environmental advocacy, one that looks beyond the single pixel towards the whole picture of justice. So, instead of feeling tired and lying down, this organization actually invigorates me because they are making the kind of change that we need in the world. But they need support to do it. I may not be able to make a law, but I can definitely make a donation, and that is what I am asking you to do today. Join me in joining WEC. Join us and see, like I did, how your dollars are more than just a way to meet a fiscal bottom line. They are a way to join a new movement and hold WEC accountable for the work it strives to do. To power WEC into the next 50 years, let's build momentum, let's ignite change, and let's do this together. Thank you.